everyone, this is Lori from the Crafting Auntie, back with you with a design team project for Carolyn Musings on Etsy and Facebook and One Way Journals on Facebook group. So I am using two of her gorgeous kits. They are Pansy Journal Page Kit, and then there's also Fussy Cuts. So there's two different kits. I'll link them below. And I made this folio out of it. So I'm going to show you what I made, and then we'll start going through the process. So let me just untie these little ribbons. I thought these ribbons went really well with it. We have a lot of purple in here, and I thought I would just bring out this orange color. So here we have a pocket with a tag that is inside here. So I'm not going to pull it all out. It's tightly fit in there. And we also have a beautiful butterfly. And we also have this gorgeous cross and a pansy down here. I made a gold die cut. And I think this little butterfly has kind of moved. He belongs really over there. Sorry about that. Let me just get him moved where he belongs. I think it was because of the ribbon. And I used a gold die cut. I made this window frame. It's actually a frame I made myself. And I show you how to do that. I added some lace up here and down here. I need to add a tab on here, which I will do. And then let's open it up. Now on this side, I have another tall, slender envelope. And what I did is I sealed it at the top and the bottom. I covered it with some of the pansy paper. I added these gorgeous butterflies on here. I did do resin on them. And then on this side, I added these pieces of ephemera, and I also added resin on them. And then I created a notepad. I was kind of struggling back and forth. Was I going to do a journal? Was I not? And then I decided to go ahead and do a notepad that can be removed. So you can pull it out. It has this band underneath right here that holds it in place. And then in here I made this card to go inside and added a tab. So that just tucks right inside this envelope. So sealing the top and the bottom, was able to make an opening on the side. So here I have this card that I made with another die cut, one of the beautiful embellishments and the word praise. Added a tab on it. This is a CD envelope that I've covered as well. So that tucks in there. And I also added this onto the back of it. This is another envelope, and I've sealed it up. It's got this gorgeous paper. I don't need to do anything else on it. It says, by His grace. And then you open it up, and this is a belly band. I haven't tucked anything in there, but you surely could. There is also freebie that Carolyn has, which is a letter from the bookmaker, would be perfect in here, that talks about how the Lord spoke to you while you were working on a project. So that is this side. Then you open it up this way. We have another flip on this side. I took some ephemera, made a pocket, and tucked in some pieces of ephemera inside. Added a tab here. This does not have any pockets or tags or anything that goes inside, because on this side I created pockets from some of the ephemera and then tucked in other ephemera inside these pockets. So we've got little fences. I think they're gorgeous. And then we have a pocket here, which I also tucked some ephemera in. And then I made this crisscross with a button to hold this envelope in place. So it's got more fussy cuts that could be used. Whoever gets this, they can do some journaling. They can add a fussy cut to something that they're writing on the notepad, or they can just do some additional decorating underneath here or anywhere else in this little folio. Didn't leave a whole bunch of room for you to decorate, but actually adding some of these to some of the pages you write on would be really nice. So this folds up this way and then across this way, and then we have these beautiful orange ties Now on the back, I made sure the eyelets were showing outside so that they look nice here because you wouldn't see too much of them on the inside, and then just a piece of elastic here and here. So that is this pansy folio made from the 2 kits of Carolyn's. So I'm going to show you how I created this. So we'll go to the next part. Okay, let's get started making this folio. So you're going to need a piece that is just 8.5 by 11. You're going to score it at 5 1/4 and 5 3/4, and that's going to give us our 1/2 inch spine. And then the second piece you're going to need is 5 1/2 by also 8.5. And then if you turn it around this way, score 1/2 inch and 1 inch. And I'm going to glue these 2 pieces together, and that's going to make the base of our folio. So the first thing I want to do is I want to take my scissors and just miter the tab right here, just a little bit. And then we'll take some glue and we're going to glue that right to this page. So I have cut a bunch of pieces, and then I've got some other things that are going to go on here. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to take all these pieces that I have cut, and I'm going to go ahead and add all of them to the folio. So I'll do a couple pieces with you, and then I'll go ahead and do the rest off camera. So on the outside, I wanted to have a little bit more of this purple showing, and I thought it really brought this out just a tiny bit, not a lot. So let's go ahead and glue this piece onto our purple piece. And it's just a regular brown envelope. So I'm going to glue this on this side. I'm not going to make this into a pocket this way at all. I'm going to add something to it to create the pocket. So let's just glue this down. So I'm not going to be using the inside of the envelope. You can glue this to where you can use it as a pocket. It's entirely up to you. I just decided not to. Okay, and then this, let me just make sure this is kind of dry. This is going to come around this way. So I'm going to glue this onto the back of this. But before I do that, I have a CD pocket here. And so I have cut all the pieces to fit on this. And I've also made the opening, let me get the right way, on this side. So I'm not going to use this at all. So I have this piece that's going to fit right on the front there. So we can go ahead and glue that down. Okay, so that's that. And then I have this, which I want to put on here. And I think I want this to kind of peek out like that. And then I have the word praise that I want to put on here. So I think the first thing I'll do is just add a little bit of glue here and get this situated where I want it on the frame. So it's just kind of going to be like that. And then I'll turn it over and we'll add all the glue. Okay, so I'll tuck that in there. So there's that. Sorry for the glare. Okay, so now this, we've got this. I want this one to go on this side, like that. So before we glue this down, let's glue these two pieces down. By his grace and praise. Okay, so that becomes the beginning of our folio. So now what we want to do is add some things to go on here. So we've got some flips here, and now I want to add some flips here. Okay, so what I've decided to come up with is a frame. So I have cut a frame out of the purple cardstock, and it is about 3 7/8 by 6 1/4. And then I have about a 3/4 inch here, top and bottom, and a 1/2 inch on the sides. I have a piece of acetate, so I'm going to go ahead and glue that. Well, actually, no. I am going to glue on these pieces first. So I wanted it to really pop. So I'm going to go ahead and I have cut strips just a tiny bit smaller, not much. And I'm going to add these strips to the outside of my frame. So there's our frame. That's going to go on the front here. Now I made this, and I want to make sure I don't have any problems getting that in. So I need to put the glue only on the sides and bottom, and I'm going to go all the way to the edge. So I'm just going to carefully add a very thin bead of glue. Just take your time on this. And then we'll glue our frame down. So let's see, right about there. That looks good. Let that dry a bit. And then I want to use my corner rounder and round all the corners of this card. I used a die and cut out a piece of gold, so I thought that would look pretty there, and then peeking through. So let's see. Right about there. make a little pencil mark here at the bottom, just underneath. I know that's where I'm going to be putting the bottom center of this oval. Add the glue. And glue this down. Center it as best you can. And hopefully it'll slide right in. Oops. Make sure I don't get caught on something going in. Like that. Okay, I'll probably put a tab on the top of this to make it a little easier. But now we've got all kinds of beautiful things on our cover. So we've got our flips over here, and we have our piece here. And then I also have this long envelope that I was thinking of using. And I thought I would put it on here before I glue the piece down to the top of this, but it is a little bit too long. So I think what I'm going to do is cut off a little bit, so maybe like an inch. And then I think I'll seal it up. And then that way I can make an opening on the side. So I'm kind of thinking of a card to go in the inside. And as usual, if you followed me, you know I kind of make things up as I go along. Okay, so if I seal that up, I'm going to carefully take a very tiny bit off of this one side. So when that's on the end, let's see, I want to make sure where I'm putting it. So if I put that here, actually I'm going to do it on this side. So just a very tiny sliver. And then I've got an opening here. Let's seal up the bottom. And then I can glue this down. I think what I'm going to do is glue the very, very top of this as well. Okay, so we've got lots of things going on in this folio so far. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the rest of the inside off camera, and then I'll put together the signature that's going to go in here, and we're going to do some more decorating. So I will be back. Okay, so I have added paper to the inside of the folio. So I've added it here and here and under here. And then this is my flip pocket where I made the pocket on the left side. I've got that on here, and I've covered it with some of this paper. And on this side I used a couple of pieces of ephemera to make pockets and added these pieces inside. And also in the top. So I added this as a pocket. Tuck these in. I love this Bible. That is so awesome. And then trying to get these tucked in so that they don't peek out too far. And then here I added another piece, and then I'm just tucking in a couple more pieces of ephemera. And these are all from the Fussy cuts of the Pansies. And then here we've got this one, and I added a tab. So I also took an envelope. I decided, I was going to do a journal in here, and then the more I thought about it, I thought, I think I just want to do some writing space, and I want to add some of the additional Fussy cuts because there's quite a bit in here. I just want to tuck these in so that if somebody who receives this wants to add some other things in here, do some additional decorating, they can. Now on this side, I did cover this, and then I also have a card. So I cut a card to go inside, and I want to cover it, make sure it's going the right way, with this paper. I thought we would add a tab, but what I want to make sure is that when this is inside here, the tab does not come over too far, because it's going to hinder. Yeah, that'll be fine. So it goes in far enough. I just wanted to make sure it didn't have a problem in the spine right here. I also covered the spines with some strips. So I cut these at 3/8 inch, and these I just cut whatever size I wanted. I think it's like 1/8 of an inch smaller than the actual size of the outer folio. Okay, so I'm just going to glue this on, and that can get tucked in to my pocket. I'm just kind of eyeballing it. And tuck that in there like so. So the tab comes out just perfect. And then on this side, I have cut out some butterflies, and I've added resin to these. So you can see the shimmer. So I've got 3 of them. So I thought I would just glue those on here. And I'm just going to do it kind of in the center. And I'll glue down their antennae as well. And we're just going to place them. Okay, on this side and here, I decided to make a notepad. So what I've done is I've taken some pages from another kit, some line pages, and I cut them down so that they would fit in here. I've made this, which is going to end up being what the back piece slides into, so you can take it in and out. And then I have another piece to go across the top, and that is right here. So I will glue this onto here. So I've done I've done 3 staples here, and then I backed it with this purple card. So the first thing I want to do is put this on here. And then all I did was, these are, I believe, 4.5 by 8. And then I had this scrap piece. So after stapling it here, I want to cover it up with this. So I'm just going to glue this down. And all I did was fold it in half. It's just a scrap piece, and honestly it was exactly the correct size, so I didn't have to do any trimming or cutting or anything. I just fold it in half. So we'll do that. And then the back of it, where the cardstock is, we will just take it and tuck it in here, like that. And then this comes over the top. Now, before I do this, I want to do a little bit of decorating in here. So one of the things that I want to do is a belly band right here. So I've got some pieces set aside here. And I think what I want to do is just start gluing them together and create it's kind of like a loaded belly band. So just going to kind of place some pieces. So once you have it done, now you have your belly band. So the reason why I didn't want to ink it is because I wanted this to really pop and show off all these beautiful fussy cuts. So now what I'm going to do is just glue it at the top and at the very bottom. So I'm going to start down here at the bottom. So I make sure I don't go over the edge of my page. Right about there, and then I'm going to glue these antennae and the top part of the wings of the butterfly, and that should secure our belly band. So now you can take something and tuck it in there. So we're going to let that dry. So we've got that, and this I've already done, so we did this on already. And I really don't think I need any other decoration here. So this is perfect. So we've got our notepad and our flip here, which also has this card. Okay. And then I want to do some decoration here before I add this. So I have resined some pieces. Let me just take these all over here. And so the first thing I want to do is I want to add this gold lace. So for that, I'm going to use some of this Fabri-Fix or Fabri-Tac, whatever it is you have. Then I want this to go here, along with this little pansy. But I think what I want to do is possibly pop these up with some pop-up tape. So I have some of that. And then I have a butterfly. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue this straight down. Okay, so there is our front. There we go. That's better. Okay, so we have that. And then it opens this way. We have our flip. Now here, let's see. I wanted to do a little bit of decorating on this side. So I have this, and I have this, or I can put this, which I think is what I'm going to do. And let's just make sure that this is down well. Okay, so this is decorated. We have our notepad. And let's see, I have added tabs to everything. And we have our belly band. So we'll have, I'm probably not going to slip anything underneath this for right now, but it has an option. So Carolyn on her Ko-fi has a, it's a letter from the bookmaker, and it shares a lot about Jesus and how you're inspired when you are creating something like this for someone or just creating it. So maybe I will print that off and tuck that underneath the belly band. So now I am ready to go ahead and add in my envelope. Okay, so for this I want to add some eyelets. And I'm thinking I want to come over about 1 inch and probably like about a 1/2 inch up. So I'm going to add one here and here. And then I'm going to do the same thing here. So take our envelope, that here, and then I have this elastic. So I'm just going to keep it on there for right now. Okay, so I got to think about this because I want to tie this through a button right here in the center. So I think what I want to do is come up, across, down, and then up, I think. Okay, I need to start the other way. See, I wasn't sure which way it was going to go. So, you know, we all go through trials and tribulations when we're trying to design something or make something. Okay, so I'm going to go down and across this time. And then back up. Crisscross here. Like that, and then across on the back and up, and then these two will meet in the center. So let's just cut off a piece. And then I thought it would be fun to thread these through a button. So let's see, I think I'm going to go underneath, up, underneath, and up. And make sure it's tight enough to hold this in place. I make a knot. Tighten it up, and then make another knot. Like that. And then we'll feed these through the button. So I'll just go in. This is a 4-hole button, but I'm just going to go in 2 of the holes. One on one side and one diagonally on the other side. It can be kind of fiddly. Just take your time. Like that. And then tie another knot. And you can tie a bow if you want to. I'm just going to tie 2 knots so it's secure. So that'll hold that. And then I'll just cut off the excess. So now this can be taken in and out. Okay, so let's see if there's anything else. So we have our notepad. We have our pockets over here. And we have our envelope. And this closes like this and comes over the front like that. So a closure I have thought about, and honestly I think all I'm going to do is another eyelet. This. Maybe we do 2 eyelets, one at the top underneath the butterfly and one down here. So let's see, what would that be measurement wise? Let's go down 2 inches and up 2 inches. So that will be easy. So we'll do one here and here. Okay. So I'm going to flip this up and take my notepad out for right now. And then we'll use Crocodile again, large setting. Okay, we have a lot of purple going on here, so I thought this would look nice. So I think all I'm going to do is, let's see, let's feed it through. And come around and then tie. So cut this. Cut. And then we can make a couple of bows. I think we've done it. Just move that up. Okay, there it is, the folio. Okay, well, thank you guys for joining me, hanging in there when we gone through some difficulties or trying times. I appreciate you guys watching. And again, this is a design team project for Carolyn Musings. So you'll have to check out her kits. I will have the links all below. And these are her pansy kits along with her pansy fussy cuts. And they are just absolutely amazing. So you guys all have a great day. God bless you all. We will see you at the next video. Bye.